Hi, I hope everyone's doing great today. This is my eighth, maybe even 12th attempt at recording a video about The Last of Us Part 2. I actually recorded one a few nights ago, almost a week ago, and for the last few days I have been editing it, and I've run into some editing problems and stuff like that. So I am going to record this again, and it's going to be right off the top of my head. I'm going to try and get through this as fast as I can, but I mainly want to talk about the positive themes of or experiences. I just want to talk a little bit about Last of Us Part 2. So, The Last of Us Part 2, it was a pretty cool game. It was a good game. I liked it. It was all right. A lot of people didn't like the game. But you know what? It wasn't supposed to be a fun game. That's what a lot of people don't understand. That sometimes when it comes to life isn't just about, yeah, it's about fun, but sometimes it's not just about fun or entertainment or things like that. I actually was thinking about redoing my video review on the Joker to talk a little bit more about that, psychological terms of it, but in this instance, The Last of Us Part 2 was about an experience. The Last of Us, the first one, was about love. It was a loving story. It was a great story. The second Last of Us is called Part 2 for a reason. It is the second part of a whole story being told by these two entities. And I think a lot of people kind of don't see that, but me being a writer and everything, I don't know. But anyway, Last of Us Part 1, Last of Us was about love. The second Last of Us was about hatred. A lot of people say that it is about vengeance and revenge, but that is not the case. Okay, it is the case, but there's more to it than that. I don't like to disprove anybody or anything in any way. So I'm going to say that there is more to it than just revenge. Right off the top of my head, if I can remember the whole game, let's see. So the game had a lot of strange things about it, and it was there to kind of help people question their hatred toward things as to, why do you hate this game? Just little things. Okay, so, the second Last of Us, there's like a lot of more drama in it, a lot more personal drama. There was more mushy, emotional scenes like that. There were some things that talked about religion. There were a lot of religious themes in the game. When you were Abby, and, you saw all these religious symbols everywhere, and you were like, okay, so these people are part of some cult or whatever. And then you start finding these papers that have some of their teachings in it, and it's like, okay. And, you start to see, okay, that this cult of people, scars or whatever, they have their own thing. And at one point, you're in the forest, and they kidnap you, and she's like, okay, we gotta go ahead and sacrifice you now, so we're gonna hang you up and, stab you, and you're able to get out by Lev and... Wow, wish I remember these characters' names. By Lev and the sister. And when the two girls, when you find them, they found Abby and everything, they were like, they were kind of giving some insight as to their experience through the, through their religious order and just the teachings that they've learned. There was one point when Abby and Lev had to cross the city to get to a hospital, and they took a shortcut, which I guess is a shortcut, through the sky. And there was some buildings, I guess, that fell over and formed a bridge, basically, over the clouds. Okay, so when you get to that, so that point, that part is about fear. There was a lot of fear there. And, at some point in the story, Abby questioned Lev about some things, how are you so cool when all this scary stuff's going on and everything? And Lev was all like, oh, in my religious order, we have these quotes and, just these verses and passages help us get through life. It's not like we're all some insane cult of people, like their teachings here. And that can go for a lot of religions, any religion. A lot of people look at religion from an outside point of view as these crazy cultist people. And in The Last of Us, it really dove into that, how people hate people for being religious and they hate the symbolism of religion. And when you actually start to understand it, understand that the religion is simply just like the face of it, basically, where like when you start learning about the teachings, you start learning that the actual teachings and the actual religion, there's actually a conflict there. And not to preach about religion, but there is actually a passage in the Bible. I don't know what it is exactly, but there was a passage in the Bible that said religion was bad, that the teachings of the Bible, many of the teachings should be in the heart of people, and just in the heart and in the way that you live life. Once you start taking any kind of knowledge and you put it into the idea of, you start making it into like a religious sort of order, it completely changes the whole context of what it is, of what, that message is there, what that message is. And it gets so watered down and it's just, yeah. So The Last of Us Part 2 kind of helps with that, with helping people realize that, there's a difference between religion and the teachings. And Lev's sister were more about the teachings, whereas their higher up, the lady that hung you in the game, she was more of a, extremist, but, there was that. So, yeah, Last of Us Part 2, it talked a little bit about religion. It also delved into, Lev's character. Lev's character is about, being transgender and everything. The story of Lev, sometimes when you just want to be happy, when you just want to be who you want to be, for whatever reason it is, people are going to turn on you. The people that you love, sometimes they turn on these people that are like, hey, I was born in the wrong body, or I don't want to be in this body. I'm a girl, I want to be a boy. I'm a boy, I want to be a girl. Whatever the reason is. Whatever reason it is whatever. I don't really care to go into that, but everyone's reason is different. But in The Last of Us Part 2, it kind of shined some light onto situations where, these people's loved ones turn their backs against them. Sometimes their loved ones will actually try to kill them. They will say that they're wrong, that them existing is wrong. And The Last of Us Part 2 talked about that trend, just how, these people, what they go through, what some of these people go through. I mean, in one part of the game, this person's mother tried to kill them because she thought that her child was a demon and tried to kill him. And things went wrong, obviously, and throughout the whole game, they talked about how much they loved their mother and how much they had to save their mother from the cultists and everything. And they're like, we got to go save her. And at the end of the day, she was all like, no, because you're evil and I don't like you anymore. So I'm going to try and kill you, even though you're my kid. And that happens. I feel like I have to go back and say something. I feel like I forgot something. Okay, I don't want to say religion is a sin. I don't want to say that. It is a good thing. It's just, I feel like I missed something. I have to go back and fix it about the religious part. But let me see. Okay, I'm just going to talk and let's see what happens. But yeah, so religion, the teachings are good. Okay, so yeah, religion isn't bad. Isn't really so much as a bad thing. I don't want to demonize or antagonize religion. And The Last of Us just kind of gave it a perspective where even if you don't want to be, the teachings are there. Every religion, every teaching, every faction or whatever, there are life lessons there that you can learn from. And Abby learned from them through her journey with Lev. It's, just, these teachings, they can help you love better, live better lives, face your fears. They can help people live more fulfilling lives inside of themselves. Yeah, and Last of Us Part 2 kind of shines some light on that. That, the teachings are probably what's most important, even if you don't fully follow the order or religious order. Okay, I feel like I'm good with that. So we talked about those two. Also with Ellie. Okay, so I guess I can go into Ellie's story now because I think I'm done with those. Okay, so with Ellie and Dana, there were many times in the game where Dana was really clingy to Ellie. There's a lot of the emotional, mushy stuff, and there was that, but there was, there's also like Dana was like, "Hey, Ellie, blah blah blah." She was like all over her through certain parts of the game, and it was like, okay, I get that you care about her, but give her some space. Like give Ellie some space. You're a little bit too worried about her when you shouldn't be in this situation. But yeah, that was just something that I picked up. That the game talked a lot about clinginess, but also talked about, you know, you have to be aware of who you're being clingy to, because Dana was really clingy. She was really there for Ellie, and it's okay. That's good, but at the same time, she was there a little bit too much because Dana, she was pregnant, and her being pregnant, she was still with Ellie through all that danger, and she got herself sick, and that situation just got bad for her, and then she just couldn't do anything after a while. So the game talked a lot about clinginess, and to just be more aware. Be more aware if you are clingy, and if you don't like clinginess, why don't you like it? That game kind of raised that question. Ellie. Okay, so gosh, there's so much more. I'm 13 minutes in. There's so much more I can say about this game, but this is my official recording. After this, I'm done. I am not recording this again. Anyway, so Ellie's character through The Last of Us Part 2 told a very deep story. In the first game, Joel had to deliver Ellie because she was the cure. The thing is, Ellie's innocence is what was the cure for mankind. In the trailer of The Last of Us Part 2, there is the song, I walk the valley of the shadow. Anyway, so if you listen to the lyrics of that song, you'll find that toward the end, there's a part in that song that says that the dude is like, "Hey, know that I'm wrong and I can't walk on the path of the right." But then eventually he finds Jesus. When he finds him, he's like, "Oh, hi." And then, Jesus is like, "Hey, I'm the savior for the human race. I'm here." And then the dude in the song says, "You're here to save the human race. How do you save the human race from itself?" How do you save the human race from itself? So, there was a lot of biblical messages behind The Last of Us, the first one and the second one. Ellie kind of being like a Jesus figure, but in her own way. And I'm going to explain that toward the end. So, Ellie's innocence is what was the cure for mankind. That's what made her special. It was a symbolism. It was symbolic. And Joel knew Joel knew that. Joel saw what a lot of players didn't see, which was strange to think that he kind of broke fourth wall by making his decision in the first game. But anyway, Joel Saul knew that the human race kind of wasn't worth saving. You know, you could kind of say that it was a selfish decision on his part, but whatever. Anyway, so Ellie's innocence is what was the cure, and if she died, she could give hope to humanity. But at the same time, even if the human race was saved, they couldn't really be saved from themselves, which is the hardest thing to say, hardest thing to realize and to understand. But it was the truth. And I think a part of Joel saw that, which is one of the reasons why he made that choice. He knew that the world wasn't worth saving because he knew how dark and how messed up it really was. Joel's voice, kind of a side note, Joel's voice in the second game, he was voiced by the same person. He was just lighter. And I think that reason why is because in the first game, Joel was very dark and hurt. In the second one, he had more of a lightness to him. But anyway, back to Ellie's story. So yeah, Ellie's innocence is what was the cure. So in The Last of Us Part 2, when that situation happened with Joel and Abby ended up killing Joel the way she did, in that moment, just so I don't have to go back, I'm going to be jumping around a bit, like the story. So in that moment that Abby actually killed Joel, Abby killed Joel simply because it was her version of healing. She was taught that she has to do whatever it takes to get it done, to get the job done. And she did, and she went all the way, and she knew that even though it was wrong, or even though it was what it was, she knew that killing Joel was kind of what she had to do to find healing. It is what she did. It is what she pursued. And in that moment that she got revenge from Joel, it was her having her own version of healing. After that happened, Ellie became broken. One person's version of healing can also mean another person's version of being broken. And in this situation, right as that happened, as in that cabin, when that situation happened, Ellie began her descendant, and Ellie began her journey through. Ellie began her descendant, and Abby began her ascendants, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. So that's when their journeys kind of were at a middle point, and then Abby started finding healing, whereas Ellie became broken, went down the dark path. Right after that situation happened, you'll notice that throughout the game, Abby started to become more of a happier person in a way, and she started to just evolve more into life and things like that. Just her idea of life started to grow. Whereas with Ellie, she just became this dark, vengeful person. And she started picking people off and everything. And if you pay attention to the characters, excuse me, if you pay attention to the characters in the story, they were actually, the characters in Abby's story were actually reflections of the characters in Ellie's story. Just like how Manny was shot in the eye at a random time, so was Jesse when they were at the theater. You know, just little things like that. Just if you pay attention. Same with how the horse died. Abby's dog was killed, and then Ellie's horse was killed. Each of these characters experienced the same kind of loss. Both of them kind of lost their fathers. You know, it's just It's just a weird loop. It's just a cycle of hatred that even though we're mean to each other, even though we're cruel to each other and vengeful and we hurt each other, at the end of the day, those people that we're hurting, they are just like us. They go through their struggles. You don't know what kind of struggles they went through. It could be worse. It could be the same as yours. You just don't know. When you hurt someone, they were a father to someone. They were a mother to someone. They were a best friend. They were a therapist. You don't know people's relationships to other people. And we have to stop hurting each other, seeing each other as if we're enemies, when really we're the same in this crazy world, just trying to survive. Abby lived in a society where they made life from a football field. They made a whole community from a football field. Ellie and her people, they made a whole community in the mountains. They made their own village. Like everyone's trying to survive, no matter how different it may seem on the outside. We're all going through our struggles inside. And the world is always going to be an epidemic. The world is going to always have dangers at every corner. Life is always going to be in this weird apocalyptic situation. But even with that being said, what we go through inside is what connects us together, whether it's through pain, whether it's through hatred or love or whatever. I was just talking from both points of view, from the video game and from life. That whole 3 minutes I just talked about was talking about how the game and real life coexisted together. So when you're playing more into Ellie's story and people start dying and everything, and Ellie realizes, oh, Tommy's in danger, we should go help him. Jesse's like, we gotta go help Tommy. Ellie's all like, no, Abby's close, I gotta go get Abby. There were so many moments in the game when Abby was in a situation when she was about to die, when she was getting close to death, and the people, the NPCs were saying, hey, where's Abby? Abby's gonna die. Abby's in danger. And Ellie was mainly determined to get her herself. But if you actually paid attention, there were times when the game was saying that Abby was probably in bad situations. So anyway, to keep going, so yeah, there was all that, and you get toward the end, and I guess toward the end of Ellie's story, everyone starts dying, and then Tommy gets shot, which is weird because when Tommy gets shot in the ear or the head, when you see him in the next scene, he doesn't have any scar on him. But I'm going to go into that because when Ellie, after that situation happened in the theater, which I should probably just talk about the theater then. So, okay, you get to the theater part in Ellie's story, and then Tommy gets shot, and Abby's all like, we let you live and you wasted it. Then you play Abby's story from the beginning. A lot of players actually killed Abby's character at random points in the game because of how much they hated her for what she did. And, she had her own things going on. You find out that Joel killed her father, and that she killed Joel for the exact same reason that Ellie's trying to kill Abby. So, with that being said, there was kind of no, you can't say that Ellie was right for killing Abby without saying Abby was right for killing Joel, which is, a lot of people are probably going to hate me for saying that. I don't care. So, at the end of the day, at the moral level, it's like, you got to understand that what these characters meant to people, what Abby's dad, you don't know, Abby's dad did the exact same thing for her that Joel did for Ellie. He preserved her innocence. You remember when Abby was little, younger, and they were out in the forest, and Abby's dad was like, hey, let's, look at these tracks. We gotta go follow these tracks. And they were joking around and everything, and then they found the zebra. And Abby's dad and Owen, they got the zebra out of the wires. The zebra had a family. It had its babies and everything. Abby's father kept her connected to what was important in life. He kept her happy. He kept her innocent. He kept her connected to life. And Joel did the exact same thing for Ellie through the whole first game. We weren't there for every single detail of Abby's relationship with her dad. We were just there for this one section of the game that explains the relationship with Abby and her dad was basically kind of like the first game being told within like 5 minutes, basically, from a different perspective. Okay, sorry, taking a deep breath. And you get there, and then you find out that Joel ended up killing Abby's dad. It's like, okay, so then, yeah, kind of getting off the storyline, but the story jumped back and forth. So then I think we're on Abby's story, and then Abby did her thing. Abby went and got revenge, and Owen's girlfriend, Melanie, yeah, Mel, that's her name. I'm trying to remember her name. So Mel, she was pregnant and everything, and when Abby did what she did to Joel, Abby found healing in what she did, but at the same time, Mel was broken because she was disturbed by what happened. So again, that goes into the idea that some people's healing means another person's breaking completely, and we just have to be more aware of that. I'm sure we've all been through that situation when we've had friends or we've had relationships, and we've been on like, hey, I don't like you as a person anymore. You're stupid. I don't like you. I want to break up, blah, blah, blah. And the two of you end up separating. Or no. You are in a relationship with someone. You tell them some mean stuff about how you truly feel about them, and then you block them. And you're like, okay, cool, I got all that off my chest. But the other person didn't get a chance to have their peace. And what happens is they're broken now. They don't have that closure that you got by telling that person how disgusting they were. I think my situation I went through kind of bled into that, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that, and just so anyway, yeah, their relations, they were reflections of each other, blah blah blah. And what happens is you get to the theater, and at the theater, it comes to a close again. Ellie and Abby start fighting, and when they fight, Ellie bites Abby. When Ellie bit Abby, that was symbolic by saying Abby became the cure. There were multiple times in the game that actually said Abby was infected, yet she lasted months without turning. But if you really paid attention to the dialogue, you'd probably catch that. Now, I don't know what the other country was, the plantation. Not sure what that was about, really. But anyway, after they fight each other, they're fighting, and then Dana gets involved. Dana gets beat up and almost dies, and then Lev gets involved, and everyone in their circle fights each other. And everyone ends up getting involved. Other people get hurt. Because of their revenge, Lev almost became a murderer. Dana almost died and lost her baby. Ellie almost lost her loved one. And Abby almost lost her growth as a character. But in this one situation, Abby let Ellie go, or Abby let Dana go, and Lev was like, "Hey, don't do it, don't kill her." And Abby was like, "I don't want to see you ever again. Leave us alone." And they moved on to Paradise. So right before that scene, when you're playing as Abby, Lev, you guys go to you find out that the two factions Abby was a part of one faction and Lev was a part of another faction that were at war, and the two of them had to come together to survive because, everyone is trying to survive at the end of the day and live, and we need to work together. They had to work together in order to survive, to keep going, and they ended up forming a bond and everything. They realized that, they weren't each other's enemies. It was mainly what was inside of them. It was what they were dealing with. It was the hatred. It was that fire. What was inside of them is basically what the enemy was. It was those parts of themselves untouched by love and covered, shrouded in fear, misunderstanding, and darkness, and other things. So when they got to a point when their factions were both fighting, they were at war with each other. And what happened was both sides fought each other and burned down the whole village, and they just ended up killing each other off. And both Lev and Abby had to survive fighting each other's factions. That was a symbolism of what was going on in their hearts, basically. Abby's version of a heart was that war that they went through. And when the two of them went through what they went through together, I guess Abby and Lev's heart is what the fire represented. And they both had to fight to survive each other's nightmares and fight each other's demons. And once they fought each other's demons with each other, they got on the boat and they escaped. And the people that stayed and let hatred consume them, they burned along with the village. And Abby and Lev escaped paradise. From Ellie's point of view, Ellie's heart was the house that was in the middle of the field. That was symbolic. Mainly, one of the reasons, that was symbolic of Ellie's heart. Ellie's relationship with Dana and the baby, what connected them and everything like that. And then Tommy shows up. If you remember, Tommy was shot in the ear or the head. It's unclear. But in that scene, he doesn't have any kind of a scratch or a wound on him. So that more could dive into symbolism, where that house was what was going on in Ellie's heart. And Tommy showing up was just like an entity of how she perceived Tommy, how she felt about Tommy. And he came to her on a psychological level or energetic level and was like, "Hey, she's still out there. Go get her. Go get Abby, because I can't do it." It's possible that Tommy was actually dead, and he came into her heart. She came to her and told her to go get Abby, because that was a loose end. Because that was like a loose end for revenge. And that would have complicated the story and the message of the story so much, which is probably why that was made unclear. I understand that. Anyway, say we go in. Oh, okay. Anyway, so all that happens, and Ellie goes into the barn and she finds the lamb, the baby sheep or baby lamb. That was more of her innocence. It was in the corner, scared. As soon as she goes to try and touch the lamb, which was a representation of her innocence, as soon as she goes to touch it, it like runs, and then she ends up having that nightmare of seeing Joel get killed. That nightmare, that memory, was an energetic block that was keeping her from fully embracing her innocence and joy and happiness. And when Tommy came back, it was just kind of more of a trigger. So anyway, so Ellie was like, I have to go get revenge. And Dana was like, I'm not going to go with you this time. You're happy. You need to stay with me. You need to stay with this family. And Ellie was like, I can't. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Like, I have to go do this. I just have to go do it. And so Dana was like, oh, you made your choice. So Ellie left. And she tracks down Abby. Abby gets kidnapped. And then Ellie goes through all that stuff. And Ellie gets stabbed. And you find out that this plantation of people ended up, holding Abby against her will. But anyway, so before I get right there to the very end, when Abby and Lev escaped from the flames, from the fire, they were leaving behind the flames of hatred, basically. And they just decided, Lev was all like, that was your people. And Abby was like, you're my people. Abby knew what was important. It was love. It was their bond. It was what they shared, what their relationship was. It was them. The two of them went to paradise together. And then Ellie tracked them down. Abby got kidnapped. And Ellie almost got kidnapped, but she got out. So anyway, fast forward, and we get to the end of the game. Both of them are beat up. Abby was hung and starved. And so was Lev. Or I guess. So, Abby, she lost all of her muscle. She can't fight. She's weak. At this point, all Abby cares about is getting on the boat with Lev and escaping to get to the Fireflies. Okay. During my last recording, I forgot to mention this part. So, when they finally get to the boat, they help each other get there. And then Ellie's like, hey, I can't let you go. I can't just let you get away with what you did to Joel. Like, you can't just get away with that. The two of them, Abby doesn't want to fight. Ellie's done. Abby wants to just go in peace. And live peace, because she left revenge and vengeance behind in the fire. So anyway, they end up fighting again, and as they start to fight, it gets to the very end, and Ellie is strangling Abby, and Ellie is about to kill Abby, but she lets her go. Ellie kind of had to let Abby go, because in that moment, Ellie reclaimed what it is that Joel saved and saw in her in the first game. Joel's whole mission from the first game, Joel's existence, Joel's legacy and his death would have been in vain, basically, if Ellie didn't let Abby live at the end of the game. Simply because Joel saved the innocence that Ellie had within her. And in that moment that Ellie was going to kill Abby, she reclaimed her innocence in that moment that she let Abby go by choice. So Ellie lived through the definition of what it meant to be innocent by going through the trials of hatred that she went through. The whole second game of The Last of Us Part 2 was to throw Ellie into the truth of what she was the cure for. Ellie was the cure through her innocence, but now she understands the power that she had and what it is that Joel saved her for, which was that innocence that she got. It may sound a little repetitive, but that at the very end, after she let Abby go and she said, "Abby, just get out of here," she had that flashback, and she was like, "Joel, my life would have mattered. Why didn't you let them do it?" And Joel was like, "I'd do it all over again if I could." That scene was placed in that moment because in that moment, Ellie knew exactly what it is that Joel did for her, why he made his decision, and what he saved in her. And in memory, she reprogrammed that hatred, that she reprogrammed the dislike she had, the grudge that she had for him. In that moment, she understood why he did it. Abby became the cure. She became innocent. She found love. She overcame hatred. She moved on. She became the cure. Symbolism. And then Ellie reclaimed her innocence. She's the cure. At the very end, Ellie goes back to the house, which was symbolic of her heart, and it was empty. A couple people said that it was sad. A couple people told me it was sad. And I didn't feel like it was sad. It was a perfect ending, simply because the house represented her heart. And when it was empty and there was nothing in there, the only thing that was left was a guitar. Ellie played the guitar to keep herself connected to Joel's spirit. And she did it Ellie played guitar to keep herself connected to Joel's spirit. It was the link that the two of them shared together. At the very beginning, Joel was like, "Hey, I'm going to teach you how to play guitar." And Ellie was like, "Okay." And that became the link, the spiritual link between the two of them, was him teaching her guitar, and she'd play guitar to stay connected to him. During the fight with Abby, she lost her fingers, and her fingers got bitten off. And when she goes into the house, the last thing she has is the guitar. When she tries to play the guitar, she can't, because she's missing two fingers. Ellie realized that at that point, she just had the memories of a dead man. She had the memories of a dead spirit, a dead soul. And Joel was with her through her journey. Joel did what he did for her. And he died. And he moved on. And when Ellie couldn't play guitar, she couldn't reconnect with Joel in that way, because it was time for her to move on from that. They had their time together. They had their memories together. She grieved. She understood the sacrifice that Joel made for her to live. And in that empty house meant that Ellie was able to have a fresh new start, that her heart was empty, and it was ready for whatever journey came next. That was the symbolism of the ending of The Last of Us 2. It wasn't supposed to be sad. It was just, hey, you're cleared of the bad stuff. of the grief, of the pain. And you and Joel are done now. Your journeys, your stories are done. Ellie's journey about hatred. Ellie's journey was supposed to teach us breaking the fourth wall. It's supposed to teach us about how far our unbalanced hearts can go, how it can hurt other people around us, just what it can do to us. Ellie's journey was supposed to be told so that maybe we didn't have to go as far as she did. So that way we know what we're getting ourselves into when we go down those dark paths. That is the legacy of Ellie's character. That is the legacy of this story being told. Every story has something to be said. The Last of Us 2 had such a deep story that was said, that was told. Last thing I'll say, second to the last thing, we have to just stop hating each other and understand we all have our own stories going on. You may not like somebody, but they may be the exact same person that you are. They may be going through the exact same thing. That person that you don't like, that you got fired from a job, they're probably a single mother with kids. You don't know their situations. We just got to stop hating each other, because we're all the same at the end of the day. I hope I'm not forgetting anything else, but I really want to bring attention to Abby's storyline, where, I talked about the zebra. She went to the aquarium with Owen, and Owen was like, hey, look at this beautiful aquarium. They were on the Ferris wheel. Abby was scared. There was many times in the game when Abby was scared, but she looked at the goal in front of her, what she had to do, and she knew that whatever she was afraid of was just an obstacle blocking her from getting to where she needed to go, where she wanted to go. And she learned how to overcome her overcome her fear. Multiple times through the game, Abby faced her fear, basically for the people that she loved. She was scared of heights, and she climbed the highest building in the city to find medicine. Like, Abby went through a lot when it came to people that she loved. And that tells a deep message of facing your fears when it comes to doing things for loved ones, or doing things that have to be done, and facing your fears to do it. Sometimes that fear needs to be suspended. And Abby was really inspirational to me by doing that. By allowing herself to feel the fear. She knows that the fear is there. She knows that the anxiety is there, but she knows what has to be done, and she still goes for it anyway, because she knows it has to be done at the end of the day. For those of you who go through stuff like that, just look at the end result and go for it. Abby's character was really inspirational in so many different ways. She didn't care about how people thought about her. She was herself. She did what she had to do because she wanted to do it, and she wasn't really shy about it. And she went for whatever she wanted to. Anyway, when Owen took her through the aquarium, it was romantic and it was nice. Right before that tender moment happened, she was like, hey, I think I found Joel and I gotta go get him. And it kind of ruined the moment. And Owen was like, hey, let's not talk about that. She was like, I'm mad and I'm leaving. And she leaves. And Owen just left in that romantic setting all by himself around in the aquarium, around the water, the tank of water. And Owen was even a reflection of her father. Owen was completely like her dad in so many ways, but she rejected that. I guess she couldn't see that, I don't know. But Owen was just like her dad. next time it happened, I think it was around Christmas time, I believe it was. And they were at the gift shop. I don't know what happened again. They were having hot chocolate or tea or coffee or something. I think tea. I don't know, coffee. So anyway, they were just drinking and they were having a romantic setting. And then Owen was like, oh, Melanie, Mel, and everything. And, they were just talking, having a tender moment. And then once again, Abby brings up, hey, I found Joel. I'm going to go get him. And Owen's like, no, don't do that. Now's not the time. And then Abby's like, well, I'm going to go. I'm mad at you. I'm going to go do it. I think that happened about 3 times. I don't remember. But anyway, but that happens. And there was one point when, okay, I say this. There was one point when they were on the boat when Owen went missing, and everyone, her whole clan, they were like, oh, Owen shot one of our own. Turns out Owen actually started becoming more innocent because they were having to kill some kids, and he was like, oh, we can't be killing kids even though they're against us. And then he turned against someone who was going to kill these innocent kids, and they said he was a betrayer for doing that. So anyway, so Abby went to Owen. She was like, Owen, what happened? He's all like, I hurt someone that was a part of our group over someone that was our enemy, but they were kids. Or maybe it was an old man, I don't remember. It was someone who was helpless and couldn't really defend themselves or something like that. And they were just kind of there, but they looked like the enemy. But anyway, in that moment, Owen felt so messed up within himself. He was in a really dark place after what he did to his own comrade, his own friend. He was just in a dark place. And Abby was there, and Owen was filled with anger and just so much pain. And throughout all the romantic things that Owen did for Abby, despite how good it was, Abby wasn't there. Abby didn't give it. But in this moment, when we're on the boat, Owen was saying how angry he was, how dark of a place he was in. And the two of them had like a little physical fight in a way, just almost, little scrap. And through that, they both connected and they ended up making love to each other. In that moment, it's like, oh, okay. In that moment that Owen was broken, he felt Abby's world, what Abby went through her whole life. On a deep level, the two of them felt that. And because they had that connection, their physical expression was what was connecting the two of them. They found that connection, interconnection, and that's what allowed them to do what they did. And that's what allowed Abby to kind of open up that part of herself again. It was because someone actually connected into the depths of her dark world and brought it to light and shared it with her and brought it to light. A lot of times, a lot of us have issues, intimacy issues, or problems just connecting with people in general. This is usually why, because we're so programmed as a society, we're so programmed as a society, and we can't handle each other's darkness. We can't handle what the other person goes through. But it is what it is. But, when you do find that person who can see you for who you are, who can actually handle and share those dark, disgusting things about yourself, when you can find someone, you can authentically connect with them, that is a true loving connection. When you can find them, be with them, and bring each other's darkness to light. Light doesn't always have to be about being perfect. Light can sometimes just mean balance. If you have a hard time connecting, just sometimes you just have to find that one person that you can be your full self with. Or sometimes you just need to connect that dark side to someone else. And sometimes two dark sides coming together can actually create light, which is weird to say, but that's just how it works. So anyone having connection issues, yeah, so there was that. And last thing about Abby's story, Abby was starting to become a mother. So if you're having issues or problems with moms, Abby kind of reflected that with Lev and the other girl, Yuri, I don't know. Just pay attention to what the story of The Last of Us was trying to tell us. It wasn't meant to be fun. It was meant to be a message. It was meant to be an experience. It was meant to bring light to many pieces of humanity. There have been so many videos about The Last of Us Part 2 and what it's about. I wanted this one to be as deep as possible and as unique and different. I've been talking for over an hour because I actually pre-recorded this video. Pre-recorded this. But, and I started over, actually. So I've actually been talking for over an hour straight. But, yeah, Last of Us Part 2 was a great game, and I really hope that... I really hope that whoever watches this actually watches it to the end and wastes a whole hour or dedicates a whole hour of their life to listening to this long message. I tried to keep it short, actually, and insightful. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really hope that this video changes your life, just changes your outlook on just religion, transgenderism, lesbianism, relationships, clinginess, parents, I think I said religion, intimacy issues, life, revenge. I really hope this changes your mind, or at least helps you think about it. Anyway, I do the best you can with what you got. Sometimes that's all you can do. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great life. And thank you for listening. And remember, having an empty heart only means they can be filled with better. It doesn't have to be sad. Sometimes you have a full heart, but it's not right for you. So if you feel empty inside, just know that you can fill it with love. Have a great day. Bye.
So extraordinary, something's got a hold on me. I get this feeling I'm in motion, sudden sense of liberty. 'cause I'm not there. And I don't care if I'm here tomorrow again and again. You've taken too much of the things that cost you too much. I used to think that the day would never come, but see the light in the shade of the morning sun. My morning sun is a drug that brings me near to the childhood I lost, replaced by fear. Used to think that the day would never come, that my life would depend on the morning sun, that the day would never come. When I was a very small girl, very small girls talk to me. Now that we've grown up together, they're afraid of what they see. That's the price that we all pay. The value destiny comes to nothing. I can't tell you where we're going. I guess there's just no way of knowing. I used to think that the day would never come, but see the light in the shade of the morning sun. My morning sun is a drug that brings me near to the childhood I lost, replaced by fear. I used to think that the day would never come, that my life would depend on the morning sun, that the day would never come. I feel so extraordinary. Something's got a hold on me. Again, this feeling I'm in motion, a sudden case of liberty. The chances are we've gone too far. You took my time and you took my money, and now I fear you've left me standing in a world that's so demanding.
Well, I came upon a man at the top of a hill.